She's laughing a little too hard at what you said. She finds reasons to be near you that don't quite make logical sense. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you notice, but then you talk yourself out of it. She's just being friendly. She does that with everyone. I'm probably reading too much into this. And that right there, that moment of self-doubt, is exactly what this video is about. Because here's what nobody tells older men. Younger women don't flirt the way they did in your 20s. They don't chase, they don't confess, they don't make it obvious. They test, they signal, they create situations, and they wait to see if you're perceptive enough to respond. Today, we're going inside the psychology of attraction, specifically what younger women do when they're genuinely drawn to an older man. Not what they say, what they do. There are 9 signs we're covering today. Each one builds on the last. And the final one, the 9th one, is the one most men never see coming until it's already too late. Stay with me. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men over 40 need to hear. You've spent decades learning to be competent, responsible, stable. You've built things. You've survived things. You carry yourself differently than a 25-year-old who still thinks the world owes him something. And that energy, that quiet, weathered confidence is extraordinarily attractive to a certain type of younger woman. But you were never taught to see it that way. You were conditioned to believe that attraction only flows toward youth, toward the loudest person in the room, toward the man with the sharpest jawline and the fastest car. So when a younger woman starts orbiting you, when she starts showing up in your world in ways that feel almost deliberate, you don't trust it. You dismiss it. You intellectualize it away, and in doing so, you miss something real. This isn't about chasing. This isn't about ego. This is about awareness. The kind of emotional intelligence that separates a man who moves through the world with clarity from a man who wanders through it confused. If you can read the room, if you can understand what's actually being communicated beneath the surface, you gain something more valuable than any pickup technique ever sold you. You gain vision. Before we go deeper into this, I want to ask you something. If this content is landing for you, if you've ever found yourself second-guessing your own perception in a situation like this, hit that subscribe button right now. Because everything we do on this channel is built around one mission, helping men see themselves and the world around them with more clarity, more dignity, and more power. Like this video if you want more psychological breakdowns like this one, and drop a comment below telling me where in the world you're watching from. Seriously, the comment section on this channel has become one of the most honest places on the internet. I'd love to hear from you. Now, let's get into it. Transition into main content. 9 signs, 9 windows into the psychology of attraction between younger women and older men. Each one subtle, each one deliberate, each one telling a story that most men are simply never taught to read. Pay attention. Number 1, she creates proximity without reason. It starts simply enough. She finds ways to be near you that don't have an obvious explanation. In a room full of empty chairs, she sits adjacent to yours. In a conversation involving several people, she angles her body toward you. When the group decides to move somewhere, she quietly positions herself at your side without anyone noticing, including possibly herself. This is called proximity seeking, and it's one of the oldest, most primal signals in human behavior. Here's why it matters. The human body doesn't lie the way the mind does. A person can construct a logical reason to send you a message or start a conversation, but the body moves toward what it desires, almost involuntarily, before conscious thought has a chance to intervene. When a younger woman is attracted to an older man, she often won't say anything direct. The age gap creates a layer of social complexity that keeps her guarded, so instead she moves, she engineers nearness. And here's what most men miss. They assume proximity is coincidence. They chalk it up to seating arrangements or group dynamics. They don't recognize that in a world of infinite choices, a woman who consistently ends up next to you in different settings over time is not operating by accident. The mindset shift is this: stop explaining away pattern behavior with isolated logic. 1 instance is coincidence. 3 instances is a signal. And what comes after proximity is something far more revealing. Number 2, she asks questions that have nothing to do with small talk. She doesn't ask you what you do for a living and leave it there. She asks you why you chose it. She asks what you were like before you became who you are now. She asks about the version of you that existed before the world shaped you into your current form. These aren't the questions of someone making conversation. These are the questions of someone trying to know you. There's a distinct difference between social courtesy and genuine curiosity. Social courtesy keeps questions on the surface, weather, work, mutual acquaintances. Genuine curiosity digs. It wants the interior. It wants the history. It wants to understand the architecture of the person sitting across from them. Younger women are often drawn to older men precisely because of depth, because there's more there, because the story is longer and more layered. And when she starts asking questions that go beneath the surface, what she's really doing is signaling, I want to understand you in a way that most people don't bother to. Psychologically, this is also a form of investment. The more questions she asks, the more she learns about you, the more emotionally engaged she becomes. She's building a mental picture, and she's choosing to spend her attention on you when she could spend it anywhere else. Here's what most men do wrong in this moment. They deflect. They give short answers. They feel exposed by depth. They've been taught that vulnerability is weakness, so they shut the conversation down right at the moment it was about to become meaningful. Don't do that. Match her depth with yours. Let her questions land. Answer with honesty, because what comes next is where it gets psychologically complex. Number 3. She tests your reactions before she tests anything else. She says something slightly provocative, slightly unusual, something that could be taken 2 or 3 different ways, and then she watches you, not dramatically, not obviously, but she's watching for how you respond, whether you flinch, whether you laugh nervously, whether you get offended, whether you hold your ground. This is what psychologists sometimes call a calibration test, and younger women deploy them instinctively, often without even consciously realizing it. Here's what she's actually measuring. She's not testing your intellect or your status. She's testing your emotional regulation. She wants to know, does this man get rattled? Does he perform composure, or does he actually have it? Can he handle something unexpected without losing his center of gravity? This is where older men hold a biological and psychological advantage, but only if they've done the internal work. A man who has genuinely developed himself emotionally doesn't react to a small test with defensiveness or anxiety. He responds with calm, sometimes with humor, often with a directness that says, I see what you're doing and I'm not threatened by it. That response, that quiet, unshakable groundedness, is intoxicating in a way that no amount of status or physical appearance can replicate. The mistake most men make here, they over-explain. They try to pass the test by performing rather than being, she can tell the difference. She always can. Be the man who doesn't need to prove he's steady. Just be steady. Because what she does after she's tested you tells you everything about where this is going. Number 4, she brings you into her inner world through small disclosures. She tells you something she says she doesn't usually tell people. It might be small, a fear, a family dynamic, a dream she's embarrassed to admit out loud. It might be delivered almost casually, tucked inside a larger conversation, as if she's hoping you'll notice its significance without her having to flag it. This is called self-disclosure escalation, and it is one of the most powerful psychological indicators of attraction that exists. Here's why. Opening up to someone is inherently risky. It creates vulnerability. It hands the other person a small piece of yourself and trusts them not to misuse it. Most people don't do that randomly. They do it with people who feel safe, people they trust, people they're emotionally drawn toward. When a younger woman begins to open up to an older man, she's not just sharing information. She's creating emotional intimacy. She's testing whether he can hold something delicate without crushing it. And she's checking whether he'll reciprocate, whether the door swings both ways. The right response here is never to minimize what she's shared or to immediately pivot to your own story. The right response is to receive it, to sit in it briefly, to ask a follow-up question that shows you actually heard her. That moment when a woman realizes a man genuinely listened is often the moment the emotional connection deepens from something casual into something that carries real weight. Most men have been so starved of genuine listening in their own lives that they don't know how to offer it to someone else. Practice it, it changes everything. But here's what happens when those small disclosures start getting bigger. Number 5, she mirrors you without realizing it. Watch her language, watch her posture, watch the pace at which she starts speaking. If she's been around you enough and she's genuinely drawn to you, something fascinating begins to happen without either of you planning it. She starts to mirror you. The words you use show up in her vocabulary. She leans when you lean. She slows down when you slow down. This is called behavioral mirroring, and it is one of the most well-documented phenomena in human psychology. We unconsciously imitate the behavior of people we feel a strong connection to. It's a neurological signal, the brain and the body communicating in a language that bypasses words entirely. What makes this sign so significant is how involuntary it is. She cannot fake this. If it's not real, it doesn't happen. You cannot manufacture genuine mirroring through effort or performance. It either emerges from authentic attraction or it doesn't emerge at all. When you start noticing that a younger woman has quietly begun to adopt your rhythms, your expressions, your energy, your pace, understand what you're actually witnessing. You're watching her nervous system respond to yours. That is not nothing. That is something profoundly human. And it's about to get even more layered as we move to number 6. Number 6, she becomes subtly competitive with other women around you. She doesn't make a scene. She's too intelligent for that, too composed, but something shifts when another woman enters your orbit. A coolness appears where there was warmth. A quiet alertness replaces ease. She might not say anything directly, but she repositions. She re-enters the conversation. She finds a reason to re-establish her connection with you in a way that is just visible enough to mean something. This behavior is rooted in what evolutionary psychology describes as intrasexual competition. When a woman is genuinely interested in a specific man, the presence of another woman who might share that interest triggers an instinctive protective response. She's not being irrational, she's being invested. And here's the critical thing most older men misread about this sign. They either don't notice it at all because they've been trained not to see themselves as someone worth competing for, or they notice it and feel uncomfortable, as if they've done something wrong by being desired. Neither response serves you. The right awareness is simply this: observe it. Don't exploit it. Don't manufacture situations to trigger it. But see it for what it is, a woman communicating that she considers you valuable enough to protect access to. That is a statement. Pay attention to it. Because what she does when you're not around is the next sign, and it's one most men never think to look for. Number 7. She maintains contact between interactions. She doesn't disappear after seeing you. She sends something, a thought, an article, a reference to something you discussed. A meme that only makes sense if she was thinking about a specific conversation you had. These low-pressure contact points are how attraction sustains itself in the space between physical presence. They're her way of keeping the thread alive without pulling too hard on it. They're strategic in appearance, but emotional in origin. What she's really communicating through these small gestures is you exist in my mind when you're not in the room. That's the entire message, and it's a significant one. Think about how limited attention really is. Everyone is overwhelmed. Everyone is busy. Everyone has a dozen open conversations, 100 unread notifications, 1,000 competing demands on their focus. When someone carves out space from that mental noise to think of you and then acts on that thought, they are demonstrating something genuine. They are demonstrating that you matter to them. The mistake most older men make here is treating these moments as casual or obligatory, responding with one word, treating a signal like background noise. Instead, engage. Show that you also hold space for her in your attention. Not desperately, not excessively, but genuinely. The exchange of real attention between two people is the foundation of every meaningful connection that has ever existed. And foundation matters because what comes next is where everything becomes undeniable. Number 8, she challenges you because she respects you. This one surprises men every time. She pushes back on something you say, she disagrees, she offers a different perspective, calmly, confidently, directly, and she watches to see how you handle it. This is not disrespect. This is the opposite of disrespect. Here's the psychology. When someone is attracted to you but doesn't fully respect you, they agree with everything you say. They perform harmony because they're afraid of losing access to you. That's appeasement, and it is ultimately driven by insecurity, hers toward you. But when someone both wants you and respects you, when they see you as a genuine intellectual equal rather than a figure to be managed, they engage authentically. They challenge, they hold their ground, they treat the relationship as a meeting of two serious minds rather than a performance designed to maintain your approval. The younger woman who challenges an older man is communicating something profound. I think highly enough of you to be honest with you. The test for you, and this is where your character reveals itself, is how you respond. Do you get defensive? Do you become cold? Do you interpret disagreement as threat? Or do you lean in? Do you engage her perspective with curiosity? Do you demonstrate that you're not so fragile, that a different opinion shakes your foundation? The man who can be challenged and remain calm and engaged, who can say, "Tell me more about that," rather than shutting down, that man is irresistible to a woman who has genuine depth. Know that. Live it. Now, we've come to the final sign, and I want you to slow down and really hear this one. Number 9, the final sign. She drops the armor right before she walks away. This is the one that haunts men years later. She's been signaling, she's been present, she's been doing all of the things we've discussed. And then, for whatever reason, fear, circumstance, timing, doubt, she starts to pull back. She prepares to exit. She begins the slow withdrawal. And right before she fully disappears, she shows you something real. Maybe it's a look that lasts a half second too long. Maybe it's a goodbye that carries more weight than it should. Maybe it's a final small disclosure, something honest and unguarded and achingly sincere that arrives at the exact moment when both of you know the window is closing. Psychologically, this is the moment the armor drops. Because she's already preparing to leave, the stakes of vulnerability feel lower. She has nothing left to protect, so she lets you see something true. And if you miss it, if you treat that moment like ordinary conversation, it closes. It closes, and it doesn't come back. This is why awareness matters more than strategy. No technique in the world helps you recognize this moment in real time. Only genuine presence does. Only a man who has trained himself to actually see the person in front of him rather than managing impressions or performing a role catches this moment before it vanishes. This is the nail in the coffin of unconscious living. If you have not been present, if you have not been watching, this sign will pass through you like light through glass. You won't know what you missed until much later, and by then the only thing left to do is learn from it. Let's zoom out. Everything we've covered today, the proximity, the questions, the mirroring, the challenges, the contact, none of it is a manipulation playbook. None of it is a system for extracting something from someone. It's a map of human connection. And like all maps, its value lies entirely in how you use it. The purpose of understanding these signals is not to become calculating, it's to become conscious, to move through your relationships with your eyes open rather than half closed, to stop second-guessing yourself into paralysis and start trusting what you observe. Not every woman who sits near you is in love with you. Not every question is a declaration. Not every act of mirroring is a marriage proposal. But patterns matter, consistency matters, and a man who pays attention, who respects both himself and the person in front of him enough to be present, will always see more clearly than a man who moves through the world on autopilot. The older you are, the more you understand that clarity is not a gift, it's a practice. Here is your challenge for today. Think about a relationship in your life right now, or one from your recent past, and ask yourself honestly, how present were you really? Not physically present, actually present. Were you watching? Were you listening beneath the words? Were you seeing the signals that were being sent and choosing consciously how to respond? Or were you running on default, doing what habit said to do, what fear said was safe, what social programming said was appropriate? Because here's the truth that cuts deepest. The men who struggle most with connection aren't the ones who are unlovable. They're the ones who stop seeing, who let the chaos of life, the noise, the stress, the armor of competence blind them to the quiet, persistent signals of genuine human attraction happening right in front of them. You are not too old to develop this. You are not too far gone to learn a new kind of awareness, but it requires a decision, a real one, to choose presence over performance, depth over defense, dignity over desperation. Make that choice. If this video challenged you, if it made you think differently about yourself and the people around you, then you already know what to do. Subscribe to this channel. We do this work regularly, and every video is built to make you think, not just feel. Give this video a like if it landed. It tells us to keep going deeper. And leave a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me which of these 9 signs hit closest to home. Tell me what you've observed in your own life that suddenly makes more sense after today. This channel exists because men deserve the same emotional intelligence that the world spends so much time teaching everyone else. You are not a simple creature. You are not a stereotype. You are a man with depth, with history, with the capacity for extraordinary awareness if you choose to develop it. Go see clearly. The world looks completely different when you do.